New York Jets stars Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson have both spoken out on the Jets' loss to the San Francisco 49ers, as obviously changes will have to occur before Week 2 against the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee, and I'm going to break it all down. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into the video, as we always do, because after the loss of the 49ers, which many people pegged as demoralizing and same old Jets and all that nonsense that Matt and I have already broken down saying people are wrong about, Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson have talked about this loss not only after the game, but also into Week 2, going into it. We're in Week 2 of the NFL season. It's Wednesday. Tuesday's over. It's gone. We are in Week 2 effectively. Game tomorrow. Jets on Sunday. I'm excited. But right now, the thing is, Rodgers and Wilson talked about this loss, and they didn't take it lightly, guys. I'll say that much. Now, Aaron Rodgers went out there and said they are a championship-level group, and I hope we see them then. So, yes, obviously Rodgers gave his props to the 49ers, but then also said, we're that good also, we are going to bounce back, is essentially what he's saying there. Rodgers believes the Jets are a Super Bowl contender. He believed that if he went to the Jets, that they would be able to turn into a Super Bowl contender with the money that they had, with Joe Douglas, who's a proven good GM. I don't know why some people are blaming this on Joe Douglas for the fact that the team's not doing well. Yeah, maybe it was a mistake hiring Saleh, but maybe not. We haven't ever seen Saleh with a quarterback until last Monday. That was the first time we've seen him with a competent quarterback that's not arguably the worst starting quarterback over the last 3 years. He certainly is, honestly. I don't think there's anyone worse than Zach Wilson out there. But really, with Aaron Rodgers being there, despite being a run-heavy team, the New York Jets are in good position to bounce back. They're still a good team. They played the 49ers. 49ers have the best defense in football. They have a good offense. They have a phenomenal coach. There's a reason why they made the Super Bowl. There's a reason why the 49ers are the NFC's best team. They arguably are the best team in the NFL. Matt and I talked about this, and there will be a video breaking all that down, discussing just why people are kind of overreacting about the Jets' offensive struggles. I mentioned in that video that I think the 49ers might be the most talented team in football, and there's really only one team that contests it, and it's the reigning Super Bowl champs because, well, Mahomes is really the answer there. But, looking at this Jets team, I'm not worried by that game, and we talked a lot about that, so I'm not really going to go in that much about it. But Aaron Rodgers seemingly feels the same way, which makes me feel very good. But he also kind of spoke on this more recently, too, because that first thing was after the game. But since then, he has said, it's never as bad as you think, and never, unfortunately, as good as it feels at times. 1 year to the day after sustaining the torn Achilles is when he said this, by the way. But he mentioned there's a lot of stuff to clean up. But he feels like, as he said after the game, he thought the pass protection was good. He thought they were good on checkdowns and that they just missed some stuff in the run game. Aaron Rodgers also said that he missed a couple of throws himself that could have kept drives going and a couple penalties. The long drive was kind of textbook, as he said. Rodgers did lead the Jets to back-to-back. Uh-oh, we're bugging out right now. Here we are. Rodgers did lead the Jets to back-to-back scoring drives. That's pretty good. We didn't see that very often, and I don't mean to go back to, we didn't see that last season with the Jets. It doesn't matter what we saw last season with the Jets. The Jets were not good last season. The Jets are good this season. They went up against the 49ers team who happened to be great. Aaron Rodgers hadn't played football since 2022. I don't count last year. He played 4 plays and ruptured his Achilles. No, that doesn't count. Aaron Rodgers looked rusty. I think he's going to be just fine. Matt and I are actually going to do a video talking about why Aaron Rodgers is going to be more than just fine. That'll come out probably Thursday. This is dropping Wednesday, so this will probably come out the next day, September 12th. Now, looking at the Jets also, it's not just Aaron Rodgers. It was the defense was really upsetting. That was the big key of it. Matt and I have broken that down, so we're not going to go into that too much outside of just the run defense, and the pass rush has to be better. So Hassan Reddick is sleeping well right now, knowing the Jets are going to probably have to fold to him if things keep up like this. This weekend against the Titans is going to be so massive to see what the Jets actually look like against a team that's not one of the best teams in the NFL. In turn, you're playing one of the worst teams in the NFL. Not the worst. Actually, maybe the worst, but one of the worst teams in the NFL. And we will see something interesting with the offense because at the end of the day, The Titans don't have the worst defense ever. Is it good? No, but L'Jarius Sneed is a legit top corner in football. He will be on Garrett Wilson, and Garrett Wilson spoke about the Jets' loss also, as I mentioned, so let's take a dive into that. Now, as Wilson said, you realize all of a sudden you're not there. We're not there yet. They whooped our ass tonight. So Garrett Wilson clearly understanding what had happened, and then a few days after, and similarly, he mentioned, when we're rolling, I know what that can look like. We weren't rolling throughout the game, but we found it in spurts, and there were some times where they had to find a way to bottle it up and take it to every drive. Maybe that's what it can look like. Wilson feels like it can look 1,000 ways, but there are a million ways to skin a cat, as he said. But it felt good at times, he said. So clearly, Garrett Wilson, as I just completely fumble reading this, is kind of nervous, but also trusts the team. Garrett Wilson has played for 7 different quarterbacks in this span of an NFL career. He was drafted in 2022. This was the first game of his 3rd season in the NFL. He has been receiving from 7 different quarterbacks in that span. It's not just the most of any player, it's just an absurd amount. Aaron Rodgers, if healthy, is here to stay for this year and probably next season also, I would guess, before retiring. So he will see some consistency, and I think it's going to mean that Garrett Wilson's going to have the best season of his career. I think he will break out. He didn't have the greatest game, but I'm not too worried about Garrett Wilson at all. I don't think there's any reason to be, especially because Aaron Rodgers did have the highest, or he was the highest rated player in the game against the 49ers, and on top of that, when you look at it, he was 16th in QBR and only throwing the ball 22 times. And when you lose in the way that they lost by 13 points and one of the touchdowns was not his, it was Tyrod Taylor's in garbage time. Like, you look at it and you're like, it's not the worst. Like, yeah, he had a bad start to week 1. This isn't the first time Aaron Rodgers has had a bad start to week 1 of his season. I think people are overreacting a bit. And when you kind of talk like about how Rodgers responded, he was on his buddy Pat McAfee's show. And he wants to get the ball to Garrett Wilson more. And ESPN's Rich Samini told Rodgers that he had 11 targets. Wilson had 11 targets in week 1. And Rodgers said that would seem a lot to most people, but I remember joking with Devontae Adams about that, and it was never enough. And with Garrett Wilson, it's never enough. He's the best receiver on the Jets. While Mike Williams is still recovering from the injury, he should probably be more like Mike Williams that we know, hopefully around week 4, I'd guess. He did get injured halfway through the season. The injuries are tough on wide receivers. Also, it's the MetLife turf, so I don't feel any need to rush Mike back. But I do think having Mike Williams out there will help. The Jets, obviously, using Malachi Corley is going to be helpful. But the receiving core without Mike Williams does thin out very quickly, and Garrett Wilson's going to face a ton of coverage. So I'm curious to see how he deals with Snead on him. I'm curious to see how the Jets play against a team that's not good after playing against one of the best teams in the NFL. I think they'll bounce back. I think they'll win next week. I think they'll win the week after against the Patriots. I think they're going to go on a pretty nice run here. The most threatening game down the line is going to Pittsburgh in a couple weeks, and last time the Jets were in Pittsburgh, they won. So they didn't have Aaron Rodgers when they did that, so I'm pretty confident in the Jets, honestly. I understand most people might not be. I guess the Jets as a whole after this week, and less so Aaron Rodgers. I'm super confident in Rodgers, probably more than any player on the roster outside of Sauce Gardner and C.J. Mosley at this point. I do trust the Jets. I think it's all going to be okay. Let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and go Jets.